My name is Susan Platt. If you look for me on Instagram, you'll find me as SG Platt, and I am a fine art photographer. I've been a photographer, well, really since I was in 6th grade, but professionally since 1983 when I was in high school. I worked for a professional photographer. I photographed high school seniors, children, weddings, family groups. Then in about 1987, I worked for another photographer and I photographed a ton of weddings, family groups, babies. And then I had my own business for about 15 years. And I ran a professional portrait studio and I photographed around 100 weddings a year, family groups, babies, high school seniors, all that stuff. And then I had a really successful career as a portrait photographer, wedding photographer, and I closed my business to just take a break from it for a while because I kind of got burned out. It was a lot of weddings. I never really had a weekend, and it was nice to just take a break for a while. Being a studio photographer, you have clients, you're working for people such as, wedding couples, families, and they have a specific, or they want a specific look. They have specific instructions for you, and so you're really working for your client, photographing them. You're still an artist, photographer. You put your own spin on it with your style, but you're essentially working for your client. As a fine art photographer, you're really working for yourself, and it's your vision with what you see in the environment, or abstract, if you're doing still lifes, things of that nature. So it's kind of different. You're not really working for a wedding couple, you're kind of working for yourself as an individual artist. I guess it all started when I was a kid. I was young. I was probably, probably 7, and we always took pictures. We always had a camera. My dad was into photography in high school, and he had a little passion for it. Not really a lot, but he enjoyed taking pictures, and I would always have a little camera when we went on family trips. I think my first camera was my brother's hand-me-down. I had a Brownie box, a Kodak Brownie camera, and I still have it actually, and I took pictures with that. When I was in 6th grade, I was fortunate enough, the class that I had, the teacher I had, we built a darkroom. And so I got to experience photographing black and white film, processing it, and then printing it with an enlarger and the paper and the chemicals, the developer, the stop bath, the fixer, and being able to watch, how that all played out from beginning to end, taking the pictures, processing it, and then, picking out your negative, what you wanted to print, and enlarging it with the enlarger and making prints. So I started with film, and this is back in the 70s. And then from there, I loved photography. I was in high school. I started with a yearbook and the newspaper staff. And so I would photograph sporting events, things that happened on campus. I got into photography that way, and I took photography classes in my high school. And then I was hired as an assistant when I was in high school, when I was a junior in high school, working for a professional photographer, and then I became a staff photographer. And so I've always really loved photographing. It started out as people, and that's great. Learning how to photograph people, how to photograph weddings, how to get people to relax in front of the camera, because that's a hard thing. There's a lot of psychology behind, portraits, to make people look natural and make them feel natural too, because people have to have their picture taken for a variety of reasons, for business, for family groups, and a lot of people don't like to have their picture taken. They're very self-conscious, and you need to figure out how to make people relax in front of the camera. So that was always fun, and I enjoyed working with people. And so with photography and having to work with people, it was kind of a win-win. It was kind of a love situation because I like both those things. When I was working for I was a studio manager for a local photographer and running the business, I became a certified professional photographer. And at that point in time, it was 1992, I was one of 1,600 in the country that was certified. That might not mean a lot to some people, but in the professional portrait and wedding industry, it kind of means a lot because you have credentials. See, I didn't really ever go to a photography school. I went to high school and then I started working. I went to junior college and took some classes in photography and business, but all of my training had been on the job, and I learned from the photographers that I work with. And through those photographers, I was able to go to schools or seminars, workshops, like every industry has. And these workshops, seminars were through the Professional Photographers of America. And so I would go to conventions and workshops and things of that nature, and I would learn. And then at one point in time, I thought, I need to have some credentials, and they offered a certification program. So that certification program kind of opened up a lot of doors because I had, some leverage behind my name, not just that I was self-taught or I learned from other photographers. So that was one of the accomplishments, I think. And it brought awareness to the industry because back in the 90s, people would want to hire a professional, but in order to make sure that they got what they were paying for, they wanted to make sure that the person had, credentials. And so it just gave you a better name, a better standing in your photographic community. What I feel is a really huge accomplishment is giving my clients, my previous clients, my past clients, former clients, I don't know how you want to put that, my past clients, the opportunity to relive their memories by looking at their wedding pictures, by looking at their family pictures, by looking at their baby pictures. That brings a lot of joy to me, and I feel that's a huge accomplishment because when you sit down with your spouse and you look at your wedding album, you're reliving that day. And when you look at all your children's pictures hanging on the wall or in an album, you have those memories and you don't get those back. So I think that's that would be my biggest accomplishment, is bringing those memories, preserving those memories for my clients. When I'm behind the camera, I guess what inspires me is I want to show people now, like with my fine art work, I want to show people beauty. I want to show people the beauty of things. And I think that the way I see it, the way I visualize things, it's a little different than what an ordinary person would see. Photography is basically light stalking. I kind of clinched onto that name, light stalking, because it's catchy. And what do I do when I go out and photograph? I stalk the light. I wait for the perfect light to take a picture. I photograph at all different times of the day. Photographing at high noon isn't normally the best time to photograph. Everybody will tell you that. But if you know the rules, you can break the rules. But if you wait for the light and you know how to manipulate natural light, then you will be able to accomplish getting what you want on film or on your digital sensor. So I guess light stalking is just capturing beauty. Since I don't have an actual studio, I do everything through, right now, social media and the internet, website. And that's how I get my work out right now. And that's how I show my work. So to answer that question, it's basically I have a website and I have an Instagram account and a Facebook account. I am having a photo exhibition in March, which will feature my fine art photography from different locales, such as Lake Tahoe, Oregon, throughout my different light stalking adventures. A lot of nature and wildlife images, some portraits, not a whole lot, but it's just more of landscapes, some abstract stuff, some different still lifes. That's in the near future. From there, just continuing with my online website and trying to get some more photo exhibits going and displays so I can, sell some more canvas work.